Hello, it is Monday, January 25th, and it's 8 a.m. And I'm actually really happy, even though maybe slightly like wolf looking. Um, I had a really good weekend. Friday I went to this birthday party slash play party with Ryan, my local gentleman, and we had a really awesome time. Traffic was atrocious, so that wasn't that much fun, but he's actually super funny and amusing, so like he kept being all it's a freeway adventure and like he was just ridiculous and we had a really fun time. I laughed a lot, had great conversation with him, and I solved my problem about not being comfortable sleeping with him by booking a room that had two beds. And he was kind of a little bit bummed. He was like, "Oh, you booked a room with two beds," and I was like, "Yeah, I did." I mean, he is still like super affectionate and super coupley. I had a lot of people ask me if he was my partner um, at this event. Like, I had people come up to me and be like, "Is that your boy?" And I was like, "No, we're friends." But I think that's just how he is. He's just really happy and friendly and personable, and like he's comfortable with me, and I'm comfortable with him. So we have in jokes, and we were dating, so we do have like kind of a way of interacting with each other that's very coupley, I guess. Um, so I didn't want to be like, no, I broke up with him like last week on Monday. Like, be like, well, we broke up 5 days ago, so we're not a couple now, so no, he's not mine. But it's just one of those things where you're like, meh. It was really fun. We went to a Mexican restaurant. They played really loud mariachi music, and it was like a live band, but it was actually really good. And like the entire menu was in Spanish, and he was all, "I don't speak Spanish." I was like, how could you have been born and raised in, Southern California and not speak Spanish? But we had a really good time on at the party. It was amazing. I had a wonderful, wonderful time at the party. And then Saturday, we both had to be back to San Diego fairly early. He had a class, and I had an interview with my friend Annika. And so I met up with her at a local park near to my home. And I could say park, but it's like a huge park. It has a lake. It has like something like 30 miles of hiking paths. It's a huge park near my house. It's only 3 miles from my house. So we met up and we did our interview in a secluded area. And then we went for like a 4.5 mile hike. And then at the end of the hike, we hung out at the lake and like just talked about things. She's a super intelligent girl, super intelligent. She just finished up her master's degree. She's got a degree in biology, something to do with conservation. I'm not quite sure exactly what her degree is in. Her interview was more of a sociological interview relating to mutual interests of ours. So I'm really excited about that. I'm really excited about that. And I'm a sucker for interviews. I always say yes. So it goes back to the fact that I was a sociology major and hugely pregnant and trying to get people to take my survey, and nobody would take my survey. Nobody wanted to come take a survey from a super huge pregnant woman, like in the middle of the summer, and it was really, really hot. And so I have sympathy for people who are trying to collect data because I was like, it was hell for me when I was doing my senior research. So, generally speaking, if I fit within the parameters of the people that they're trying to interview, I generally say yes. So that was really interesting. We had a fun time. And then in the evening on Saturday, my bestie's sister is in town. My bestie, her mother has MS and can no longer fly by herself, and she spends part of the year with one of her daughters near to her grandson because that's she only has one grandchild and they live in Ohio. And then she spends the other part of the year in San Diego with my bestie. Like they split custody of her, and so she can no longer fly alone. So my best friend's sister flew with her, and she wanted to meet up, and it was really awesome. They came over and brought donuts, and we just had a really wonderful chat. Only got to see her for maybe like 15, 20 minutes, but I was really happy because she's only in town for like 24 hours. Her flight came in at like um, like maybe noon on Saturday, and then she flew out at like 3 p.m. on Sunday. So it was a whirlwind tour, and she managed to fit me into it. So I was really grateful for that. And I always appreciate somebody bringing me fresh donuts from like a really awesome local donut shop. I had half of one. There's a half of a cake donut, but it had like um, had toasted coconut on top, and it had like a coconut cream filling inside of it. Oh, so good. I had half of it, and I really wanted to eat the other half, but I was like, no, 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 don't give in to temptation. You are trying to do this weight loss thing. You can have half of a donut to splurge because your best friend sister's in town and brought it to you, but you cannot have the full donut. So I had half a donut. Um, which brings me to the fact that probably because I had Mexican food on Friday and half a donut on Saturday, I stayed steady this week. I did not lose any weight. I am still down 4 pounds for the year only. And I'm really hoping that I can make that like 6 pounds before the end of the month. I would really like to say I lost 6 pounds in January. Although 4 pounds is nothing to sneeze at, if I continue to lose 4 pounds for the rest of the year, I would be very happy. That would have me meeting my goal. So, like, my goal is to lose 30 pounds for the year. Losing 4 pounds a month, I would meet that goal. So, I can't complain too loudly. What else is going on? I had a really, really fabulous discussion with my Irish gentleman on charities and giving locally versus giving internationally, and what obligation people have to the local disadvantaged people in their communities versus people who are facing humanitarian crises in other countries. Because perhaps it's not a humanitarian crisis to help the homeless person down the street from you, but it certainly is something you should still be willing to do, as opposed to just sending money to these like big, major, huge earthquake in whatever foreign country they need help. You send to them, but you don't give to your local food bank. Like, it was a very interesting discussion. I always have interesting discussions with him. What do we talk about? What else do we talk about? We talked about um, football hooligans and the ability for people to be able to have peaceful demonstrations protesting things that are offensive or with offensive intent. He was telling me about some pretty highly toxic groups in his country that petitioned to be able to march peacefully about their highly toxic things. And I was just like, oh, that makes me kind of sketch. It makes me feel kind of bad. And he's like, well, it is free speech, and they are, you know. It was a very interesting conversation about, like, if somebody has a view that is very narrow and very horrible and hateful, should they be allowed to express that view in public without being, you know, attacked or reprimanded? And I was like, well, I mean, it's like when you see people standing outside of abortion clinics harassing people going into abortion clinics. It is their right. They do have an opinion, but I think it's shitty and you shouldn't do it. So it's like who gets to make that morality call? Who gets to say your particular opinion is actually highly offensive and not one that we want to support in our society, so you don't get to protest? Like, it's a very, anyone who has thoughts on that, I would love to hear them. What else did we talk about? Oh, we talked a lot about Esperanto, which I don't know if I've mentioned or not, but I'm learning Esperanto with him. I have been for like, oh God, a year. So we talked a lot about grammar and like sentence structure and the changing of root words and how much easier it is in Esperanto, because once you learn a root word, you can apply it. Like, there's 20 different endings and it will just change the word's meaning. So instead of being healthy, it's now hospital, but it's the same root word. And I like it a lot, and I think it's fascinating. It's an interesting language. I tried to get a dictionary in it from the local Barnes and Noble on Saturday, and that was a no-go. I went and I asked the ladies, I was like, oh, can you tell me where your dictionary section is? Because I don't often go purchase in the dictionary section. And they led me to this place, and I was like, okay, and I was going to look, and they're like, oh, what language do you want? We can help you. And I was like, well, it's a small section, but like, sure. And I told her, and she was just like, what even language is that? I've never heard of that. And I explained what it was, And then she kind of like laughed at me, and I was like, okay, well, you don't have to, you know, be kind of condescending about the fact that I'm learning a language that you don't find to be valuable. People learn Latin, and I don't find Latin to be valuable. Like, I'm not going to give them any guff about it. If they want to learn Latin, they can learn Latin, go be fluent in it. Like, I'm sure that there's something that they're getting out of that. If I want to learn Esperanto, I can learn Esperanto, and you shouldn't like laugh at the fact that I want to learn this language that you don't see a value in. Anyway, keep your opinions to yourself. Boo, says the most opinionated girl on the planet ever. Um, yeah, what else happened? Um, I don't know. I think that was my weekend. Oh, the Panthers. The Panthers like smashed the Cardinals, and I thought it was a horribly boring game. But my son is a huge Panthers fan because his father is a huge Panthers fan. So he was like the most excited little boy on the planet, like hopping about and like shouting and waving his arms. And I was like, this is really a boring game. Like the Cardinals are playing so terribly. They like just got smashed, absolutely smashed, and I'm not enjoying this, but you're loving it, so go you, kid, go you. I'm glad that your team is finally going to the Super Bowl. Yay. Except for how that means I kind of have to watch the Super Bowl now, which I tend to avoid because I don't care. Yes. Throw things at me. I don't care about the Super Bowl. Okay, I think I'm going to stop it there.